On this Thursday night, two big moves from Donald Trump bring him closer than ever to his hardline campaign rhetoric. New tariffs aimed at China bring concerns of a possible global trade war. And a newly named national security advisor stokes fears about who he's now listening to. What does it all mean, and should Canadians be worried?
Also tonight, why a Nova Scotia man with cancer was turned away from the ER 4 times.
And David Common sits down with the Barenaked ladies, Stephen Page, too. This is The National.
Let Trump be Trump might be the U.S. president's new message to friends and enemies alike, unleashing campaign ideas into policy and action. Today, that started with $60 billion in new tariffs against China. It will respond soon. The stock market did so right away. Check it out. Fears of Chinese retaliation and market uncertainty fueled a big drop on world markets. The Dow dropped more than 700 points. That's about 3%. The TSX suffered its worst day since 2016, falling 275 points, nearly 2%. And as Lindsay Duncombe tells us, that could be just the beginning.
This is the first of many.
Today's tariff announcement is another protectionist move against China, threatening to disrupt the world economy.
These tariffs pose a serious risk to our economy. They could trigger a trade war, and they may damage our relations with key allies.
A months-long investigation found that China violates American intellectual property rights and steals trade secrets through cyber hacking. But to remedy that through tariffs is widely expected to trigger Chinese retaliation.
I don't think they can let it go. I mean, just looking at the domestic politics, it will be showing the weakness to just let it go.
Farmers are especially vulnerable. Many American crops are exported to China. If China retaliates with tariffs of its own, profits would disappear. Even without Chinese action, U.S. consumers could get hit. Those cheap Chinese goods Americans are so used to buying, all of a sudden, not so cheap. The Retail Industry Leaders Association, which represents Target, Walmart, and Costco, warned the White House these tariffs may be aimed at China, but the bill will be charged to American consumers who will pay more at the checkout for the items they shop for every day. More evidence Trump's target is China. The U.S. granted more exceptions to the steel and aluminum tariffs, which take effect Friday. They will no longer apply to the European Union, Argentina, Australia, Brazil, and South Korea. They will still apply to China.
China's unfair subsidy behavior.
And no one should be surprised. Trump has railed against China's trade surplus with America, worth hundreds of billions of dollars, for years.
It's probably one of the reasons I was elected, maybe one of the main reasons.
These tariffs aren't immediate. The U.S. has 15 days to announce the targeted industries, followed by a period of public comment, leaving time to negotiate with China. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
Our Asia correspondent, Sasha Petrusik, is following reaction to all of this from Beijing. Sasha, what are you hearing so far?
Well, Rosie, for several days now, China has been ramping up its response, saying it does not want a trade war. And in another era, it may well want to resolve this diplomatically. That would be its first choice. After all, it benefits from good access to the U.S. market. But these are not normal times. China's in a very confident mood. Just earlier this week, President Xi Jinping gave a speech to the National Congress, the National People's Congress, saying that stoking nationalistic fears here, saying that China would not back down for anybody. And so all of this is not looking good, and things could get tougher at this end of the scale. We did hear some reports today of extra tariffs being imposed on agricultural products, on pork and aluminum, for some of the other things that Trump has done over the past days. But we are also hearing that this is going to ramp up. And if that does happen, then we are into a trade war.
Okay, the CBC's Satra Petrusik in Beijing tonight. Thank you. Let's switch the focus back here at home to Canada. China is currently this country's second largest trading partner after the United States. So could there be consequences for the Canadian economy in all this? And our Katie Simpson is following that part of the story tonight. Katie, how will the president's tariffs impact this country?
Well, Rosie, Canadian investors will feel the immediate impact in the short term. A looming trade war is not good for markets. And if shoppers think the dispute could lead to lower prices for Canadians, experts say that's not likely.
So we are not talking about cheap consumer goods that you find in Walmart or Canadian Tires.
This University of Toronto professor says Donald Trump is likely to target Chinese robotics and artificial intelligence with his tariffs. So China will not need to find new markets for everyday items, including clothes and shoes, the kinds of products both Americans and Canadians are already buying.
We are really talking about high-tech products that are not going to be easily dumped on the foreign market. We are not talking about cars or any consumer durables.
This means for Canadian consumers, for now, it should be the status quo at the shopping mall.
Okay, of course, Katie, what you've mostly been covering lately, the NAFTA negotiations with the United States, but Canada's also trying to get free trade talks started with China. What could all this mean for Canada politically?
Donald Trump's move means a new balance that the Prime Minister is going to have to try to navigate.
We know that if we can establish a clear set of rules and a framework around an agreement with China, then Canadians will benefit. But we are taking our time on that.
Justin Trudeau wants to continue exploring the possibility of free trade talks with China, but the optics of getting closer with Beijing could pose a challenge for Trudeau. Remember, to avoid tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum, he had to go out of his way to convince the president China was not dumping cheap steel into Canada and ending up in the U.S.
When a trade war gets kicked off, these things can spiral out of control very, very quickly. But the best move for Canada is to maintain a constructive relationship with both countries.
Another problem Trudeau could face has to do with security. If the U.S. thinks Canada isn't taking the threat of China seriously, and we do know there are already big concerns around that, it could be another irritant in this dynamic of Canada, China, the U.S., Rosie.
Who knew trade would be so interesting? The CBC's Katie Simpson in Ottawa tonight. Thank you.
Now, after that tariff announcement, the U.S. president made another big move in his ongoing effort to clean house in the White House, replacing moderating voices with hardliners. The latest one, H.R. McMaster, out as National Security Advisor, and John Bolton is in. It piles onto two other recent high-profile departures. Economic Advisor Gary Cohn and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson both shown the door. Keith Bogus here to walk us through it. So first, Keith, who is John Bolton?
Well, John Bolton most recently was a foreign policy analyst for Fox News, but he has actually a lengthy career as a foreign policy diplomat here in Washington that culminated with his time as the ambassador to the United Nations for the U.S. under the George W. Bush administration. He was a very strong supporter of the invasion of Iraq, which is interesting because, as you know, Donald Trump has said many times that he fiercely opposed that Iraq invasion, thought it was a stupid thing. And so it'll be interesting to see how they reconcile that. But Bolton is also very hawkish on such things as the nuclear deal with Iran that was signed under the Barack Obama administration, and very hawkish on the threat of nuclear armament in North Korea. He has, in fact, said he doesn't believe in diplomacy in dealing with North Korea. He thinks the only solution is a military solution, and bombing should have started long ago.
And Keith, how is this all likely to play out? Because you look at the timing. I mean, you have the upcoming planned face-to-face meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un of North Korea.
I know. I mean, you've got to wonder what Kim is thinking as he looks at all of these things that are happening now. I mean, March is turning out to be the month of the transformation of the Trump administration. The entire personality of the government seems to be changing. You mentioned the departures of Tillerson and Cohn. They're replaced by people who are, more extreme in their views about economic policy, trade policy, foreign policy. And the thing that often they have in common is that they are TV hosts and analysts who talk about economics, foreign policy, and trade policy. And as we know, Donald Trump reportedly gets a lot of his information from television.
Keith Bogue in Washington. Thanks.
Thank you.
Now to the latest developments in the Facebook controversy.
Well, Andrew, if Mark Zuckerberg thought breaking his silence would stop the bleeding at Facebook, he was wrong. Facebook stocks dipped another 2.7% today, bringing its total losses to $59 billion US since last weekend when the privacy breach involving Cambridge Analytica came to light. It triggered a crisis so damaging to Facebook, company execs have been taking to the airwaves, acknowledging problems, and again today, promising change, even if that means government involvement to make sure your personal data is protected. Ron Charles now on what that might involve.
How secure your personal information is on social media networks increasingly depends on where in the world you live. The Facebook breach did lead Canada's Privacy Commissioner to launch an investigation, but it's not clear what, if anything, the consequence will be. Today, the Prime Minister seemed to put the onus to protect privacy on social media companies.
What we need is for those companies to assume the responsibilities that come with that power.
Legislators in the European Union are not leaving it up to the companies. A new law called the General Data Protection Regulation comes into force at the end of May. The new regulations will apply to any company operating from any country, including Facebook, if it handles personal information of EU citizens. Companies will need clear consent from users to collect their data, explaining how it will be used and for how long, as well as allowing users to easily withdraw consent. Companies will have to give notification of any data breaches within 72 hours. And companies failing to comply face stiff penalties of up to 20 million euros, about $32 million, or 4% of their global revenue, whichever is higher. The regulations look like a good template for Canada and the U.S. to follow, says this culture and technology professor.
I think that there needs to be a real hard look at what kinds of data these companies are collecting, exactly how it's being used, how it can be a potential harm. And I think the EU is a good precedent.
During his mea culpa interview on CNN last night, even Facebook's CEO acknowledged regulation may be needed.
I actually think the question is more, what is the right regulation rather than yes or no, should it be regulated?
In the EU, that's already been decided. The question now is whether its regulations will be liked by other countries too. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.
So Ron talked about Europe's new regulations. Well, Austrian lawyer Max Schrems has been pushing for those since 2011 after he asked Facebook for all the data they had on him and got a pretty surprising answer. Facebook gave Schrems a CD with 1,200 files on it. It had kept records of the IP addresses of every computer he ever used to access Facebook, a full history of his messages and chats, his status updates, his wall posts, and even email addresses culled from his friends' address books. Schrems has since become a privacy activist and a founder of Europe versus Facebook. So tonight, Max Schrems told us online when we asked that if he were to ask for that information right now, that CD would be significantly larger, that Facebook collects even more data now. As for Mark Zuckerberg, he seems willing, as you heard, to consider the idea of regulation, but how real is that?
There are things like ads transparency regulation that I would love to see.
Zuckerberg was talking about a bipartisan bill that's already being considered in the U.S. Congress, the Honest Ads Act. It was introduced last year and would require digital companies to disclose who purchases political ads.
But if you look at how much regulation there is around advertising on TV and print, it's just not clear why there should be less on the internet.
That sounds just a little odd for those who followed Facebook's original push for that loophole.
There's a history here. Going back to 2011, Facebook went to the Federal Election Commission and asked for an exemption from existing disclaimer requirements. They actively fought against the application of existing transparency requirements to digital political ads, and they were successful.
Meanwhile, the Honest Ads Act has been dead in the water, thanks at least in part to Facebook.
Mark Zuckerberg is saying one thing publicly while his army of lobbyists is doing something entirely differently behind the scenes in the halls of Congress.
The bill so far has the support of just 18 U.S. senators.
Let's turn now to a story that will resonate in communities across Canada. Imagine you arrive at the emergency room. You're desperate, you're dying, but you aren't getting the medical attention you need. What would you do? Well, David Doucette of Nova Scotia decided to leave and call 911. And you know what? It worked. Carolyn Ray shows us why.
At 52 years old, Dave Doucette is rocky on his feet.
I just seen my cancer doctor last week, and like she said to me, she said, "You're not looking awful good for someone who should be dead."
Doucette's medical problems began last July when he found a lump under his armpit. He went to the ER in Halifax 4 times. They ordered a biopsy and told him to wait for the results. With each day, he was worse. He lost his balance and could barely stand.
My whole left side was just blown right, 15 times its normal size, my whole left side.
When the hospital didn't admit him after the 4th visit, Doucette's girlfriend became irate. Nova Scotia's health authority can't talk about specifics, but says the emergency department typically asks specialists to do follow-up tests.
That's when we went up the road, and I called the ambulance, and they came and got him. Because he really didn't have the energy to fight back. You need to fight for them. And you need to stand your ground, and you got to make yourself known.
Doucette has stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. According to his hematologist, after they called 911, there were doubts he would survive the night. Doucette spent 4 months in hospital and lost nearly 90 pounds.
To me, being from here, unacceptable. And I'm sure there's every Nova Scotian would say the same thing.
Part of the problem is that Doucette hasn't had a checkup in years, one of the 100,000 Nova Scotians without a family doctor. Without old blood tests, his specialist has no idea when the cancer developed.
What is wrong with the government of Nova Scotia that we can't get some doctors in here?
In Nova Scotia's House of Assembly, Doucette's story sparked outrage.
Again, I too read the article, Mr. Speaker, and the experience that Mr. Doucette had is unacceptable, Mr. Speaker, at any time.
On Monday, the government announced it will raise doctors' pay in an effort to lure family physicians to the province. Doucette found out this week that his cancer is now in remission. His palliative care team helped him find a family doctor. He's making the most of his recovery, using it as a chance to put a face to a challenge confronting communities not just here in Nova Scotia, but across the country. Carolyn Ray, CBC News, Halifax.
And Carolyn's been doing some digging, looking at how other communities have tackled the problem. And beyond simply paying doctors more, there are certainly other ways to go too. In Nanaimo, BC, for example, it's estimated 10% of the population doesn't have a family doctor. So the province upped its recruitment game. It's laid out all the steps a foreign doctor needs to practice in BC, and there are dedicated people manning phone lines to walk prospects through it.
It just made it that much easier to come here.
BC recruiters also try to address each doctor's needs, whatever it takes to seal the deal. And the tiny town of Goderich, Ontario takes that thinking to the next level. Its recruiter personally reached out to prospects, and the town of about 7,600 people even built a new clinic and recreation center to attract them.
Doctors are not going to come to rural Ontario not unless they're able to have the same amenities as they would in the city.
In the early 2000s, the community had just 5 doctors. Now it has 18.
Ahead tonight on The National, she thought she'd hit a dead end, rejected as a refugee in the U.S. after being shot in the face by her husband in Afghanistan. Tonight, she is settling into her new life in Canada and sharing her story for the first time.
And last night, we brought you the story of a 13-year-old fighting to protect the world's water. Tonight, Autumn Pelletier has taken that battle straight to the United Nations.
Plus, a little later, David Common sits down with the Barenaked ladies as they prepare to reunite on stage at the Junos this weekend.
Seriously, until we get into the same room together at the end of the month at Juno time, I don't think we're gonna know.
It's gonna be like a Batman episode.
Enfin!
Will that...
Biff!
Canada has come to the rescue of a young Afghan woman whose husband nearly killed her. Shakila Zareen was just a teenager when the man she was forced to marry shot her in the face. She thought her life was over. The United States wouldn't help her, so she's now recovering in British Columbia and sharing her story for the first time with CBC News. Here's Briar Stewart.
Each time Shakila Zareen looks into the mirror,
I like makeup.
the 23-year-old becomes more comfortable with her own reflection, an image of a face that's forever changed.
My story is so sad, but I am so strong.
Her story begins in rural Afghanistan. When she was 17, a relative married her off to an older man. She says he raped and tortured her. When she went to the police, they didn't help. Instead, her husband found out and shot her, shattering the left side of her face. She woke up in a hospital in Kabul, horrified by what she saw.
I so sad, I'm crying. Where is my eye? Where is my nose? I am so sad. Then I look in the mirror.
She was sent to India where she underwent several reconstructive surgeries. But when she went out in public, she covered her face with an eye patch.
My face is so different. I am so pretty now. I am not.
In 2016, she received some good news. A letter from the U.S. government said that her claim for refugee status there had been conditionally approved. But 1 year later, in a second letter, it was suddenly revoked for security reasons. She believes President Trump and the government's new, stricter immigration policies were to blame. She says while some of her relatives were working with the Taliban, that's exactly why she needed to be protected.
They are working with Taliban. They are so dangerous. They are killing me. They are shooting my face.
A few months after the U.S. rejection, Canada stepped in and offered to resettle Zareen, her sister, and her mother.
I'm so happy. This is real. Yes, I am so excited.
The family arrived in Canada at the end of January and have settled into an apartment in the Vancouver area. Zareen is getting counseling and help from a local agency.
We haven't seen this where the United States has initially offered resettlement and then rescinded that offer. And the cruelty of that emotionally. That's why I'm so proud that Canada said, we will help you.
Zareen is working on her English and dreams of one day working for an organization that focuses on women's rights.
In here, people is so kind. I love it. Important in Canada, not face. In here is important.
She has also thrown out the eye patch.
I comfortable with this. Then I am so happy.
On her dresser sit two pictures, one of her before she was shot and one of her now, as a reminder of her life she had and the new future that lies before her. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
What a strong young woman. Still ahead tonight, Chantal, Andrew, and Paul are all here for At Issue. In the wake of the Cambridge Analytica revelations, we're tackling big data and Canadian politics.
And a little later, the dramatic rescue in a tiny community in Newfoundland. You'll see how they came together to save 7 dolphins trapped and surrounded by sea ice. All that coming up on The National.
Saunders out! Justice now!
Tonight on The National, community frustration over how Toronto police handled the case of alleged serial killer Bruce McArthur, and it's led the Police Services Board to back an external review. It'll look into how officers handle missing persons investigations, but worth pointing out, it won't fully examine the McArthur case because of concerns over how that might affect the ongoing investigation.
I want everybody to know that Aria is not found yet. For us, it's a kidnapping.
That was the father of Ariel Jeffrey Kouakou in Montreal today, rejecting the leading theory from police that his son drowned in a river near his home. The 10-year-old hasn't been seen since March 12th, when he left his house to visit a friend.
Mr. Speaker, we now know that the person at the center of the Facebook data leak scandal is a Liberal Party operative. Not only did Christopher Wiley work for two different Liberal Party leaders in opposition, but according to media reports this morning, he also worked on a project for this Prime Minister in the taxpayer-funded Liberal Caucus Research Office.
All major political parties engage in data-driven activities. In fact, the Conservatives did when engaging in a $100,000 contract with Agility PR Solutions.
Okay, a question period classic. The Conservatives accuse the Liberals. The Liberals say Conservatives do that too. Maybe not the most productive way to have a debate or an argument. But in this case, Scott Bryson is right. All political parties are using data in their campaigns. So considering what's happening south of the border these days, should we be concerned about that? We have some guests here to talk about all of that. Chantal Hébert is in Montreal. Andrew Coyne is in Toronto. And Paul Wells joins me here in Ottawa. Good to see everybody. Let's start with you, Chantal. I mean, probably Canadians, maybe they are not aware of how much political parties are trying to find out things about voters. How concerned should they be about that, do you think?
I'm not sure they should be concerned, but they should certainly, if they are not, should be aware. Not only are parties using whatever data they can get off social media for their election purposes, and it certainly probably beats knocking on doors and trying to figure out from your body language whether you're a leaning partisan or not a friend. But they're also using social media to fundraise. And in an era when you fundraise off individuals, that's a crucial tool.
Andrew, what do you think about this? I mean, we know that this government in particular has spent something like $13 million since coming to office advertising on social media, which is totally fair game. But I wonder how much of that they're using also to tap into getting to know their voters better.
Yeah, and there's illegitimate and legitimate parts to this, or illegal and legal parts to it. The illegal part we've been discussing lately is, are people getting at their private information? Is information being improperly leaked? Are privacy concerns being observed? And that's certainly a legitimate issue. I think it's also, though, worth questioning whether this is really something that we want to encourage or are comfortable with, the degree to which not only political parties but also private companies can put together these kind of composite portraits of you. At some point, even if all of the information has been assembled from publicly available sources, if you put it all together, you start getting to something fairly invasive at the individual level. Even more important to me is you're kind of slicing and dicing the electorate into these micro targeted segments with a different message for each, and sometimes messages that are quite inflammatory or quite below the belt. It used to be in the age of the mass media that all this was out in public, all this was out in front of us, and we could see whether somebody was saying one thing to one part of the country or one thing to one segment of the electorate and another thing to another. That's harder to monitor now when everything's kind of subterranean, if you will.
Yeah, that's a good point. Paul?
It has ever been thus, though. I mean, in his great book about the 1988 election, Robert Mason Lee wrote that they were doing it in the riding where I live by mail order. They'd send out a mailer and they'd say, directly from the desk of Brian Mulrooney, sir or madam, I really care what you think. Could you fill out this questionnaire? And based on the answers to the questionnaire, which the people would mail back, they would get mailers that targeted the kinds of issues that they were concerned about. It's just now a hell of a lot easier to do that because of social media. And the political parties, all of them, Scott Bryson was right about that, are very jealous about their ability to do that. There's a reason why we've had several changes of government from Conservative to Liberal and back over the last several years, but no government has ever seen fit to include political parties in the basic requirements of Canada's privacy laws. Yeah. There's no requirement to let you know that they've got your data. There's no requirement to give it back. There's no requirement to delete it after the first reasonable use.
Yeah.
And they help themselves to public funds to pay for it. This is the political parties. I mean, it's one of those who guards the guardians things. They're all very concerned about when everybody else does these things, but they excuse themselves from these same obligations. They help themselves to public funds None of it is democratically necessary. Arguably, it's democratically harmful. The only reason any one of them needs to do it is to keep pace with the others. If there were some way to get all of them to give it up, I think our democracy would be healthier.
And the Privacy Commissioner has been asking for this, as Paul points out. Chantal, last word on this to you.
I think we will work towards a more rule-based environment. I don't think parties are going to swear off this. To Paul's point, I covered the by-election in Ontario in the 80s, where the government of the day sent flyers that said that if you voted for the opposition, Ontario would become officially bilingual. It wasn't a riding that liked the French language, so this is not a new strategy, it's just a new means to do it. But there is also a buyer's beware. If you are on the social media or if you go to a political rally and you offer all that information, I guess you shouldn't think it's because you're only going to get a Christmas card from the Prime Minister.
Well, I just assume I'm getting Christmas cards from everybody, no matter what happens. Okay, Paul, I'm going to start with you on this one. Next week, we're going to hear from the Quebec government and the Ontario government about their budgets, although Kathleen Wynne's been out throwing money around this week already, and this happening as they lead up to their election. I don't know what the Quebec budget's going to bring, but I certainly have a good sense of how Ontario is positioning itself. How should we read what's going to happen next week as they prepare for an election?
These are pre-election budgets by two governments, two Liberal governments, two premiers who get along better than almost any two premiers I can remember, and they both have their back to the wall because after a dozen or more years in power, depending on how you count it in each province, voters are sick of them, and they're starting to be very interested in the more conservative alternatives. Faced with that, Philippe Couillard, who's going to go to the polls in the fall, is going to stay the course. He's been restraining spending. He hasn't been handing out a lot of gifts. He's been trying to show that he's the kind of responsible steward that you can count on, more responsible than François Legault of the upstart CAQ party. Compare and contrast. Kathleen Wynne has been trying to get her deficit down to zero, trying to show responsibility, trying to be restrained. And in the home stretch, she said, well, to hell with it. Ontario needs things. It needs better health care. It needs better dental care. It needs better child care. And so we're going to blow an $8 billion hole in the deficit. We're going to grow that debt back up. And we're just going to try and convince Ontarians that government is so worth having that they can't hand it over to Doug Ford and watch him cut it.
It is interesting. That's a good point. They're both fighting change, and Chantal, Ontario clearly trying to do it by saying we're concerned, so here's a bunch more money, and just vote for stability and more stuff.
Yes, but I have to say that if you're a Quebecer these days and you have a good cause, there tends to be government money for it. It may not be on the scale of Ontario, but the government suddenly has a surplus to spend. My explanation for the biggest difference is that in Ontario, the Liberals are trying to get the NDP vote to coalesce against Doug Ford behind them. In Quebec, that vote would be the Parti Québécois vote, and it's very hard to convince PQ people to cross over to the Federalist option on the ballot. So they're trying a different strategy, which is basically to try to fend off the CAQ. But don't underestimate Philippe Couillard's capacity to find money to seduce voters.
Andrew.
Well, just to restate Chantal's point somewhat, Quebec's election is the classic battle for the center, partly because the Liberals there aren't in quite as bad shape as the Liberals in Ontario, but also for the reasons that Chantal mentioned. It's not available to them to do a kind of a combine anybody but the CAQ vote. Whereas in Ontario, the only option that Kathleen Wynne has, the only chance she has, is to try to corral all of the non-conservative vote under one tent. Even then, she's got, I think, a tough road ahead of her. There's also, of course, differences in their financial situations. Quebec's, in worse shape coming into this. They have a higher debt-to-GDP ratio than Ontario does, but they've been making progress in getting it down. Ontario, which has a smaller debt relative to Quebec, is busily piling it on.
Paul, you get the last 20 seconds there.
Just a prediction, even though I shouldn't be making predictions after I said that Doug Ford would never be the Conservative leader. I think there's a very good chance that at the end of the year, only one of these people will still be the premier of their province. I think Philippe Couillard can't be counted out. François Legault is really good at putting his foot in his mouth, and this is the first time he's gone into a campaign in the lead. And I think I get the impression the Liberals are eager to campaign against him.
But
Okay,
talk about an earthquake, though. If it's somebody other than the Liberals or the PQ forms of government in Quebec, that would be major.
Yes, go, Chantal, yeah.
From where I sit, the earthquake will be if that doesn't happen.
Okay, there you go. Thanks, everybody. Good news for all of you who love politics as much as we do. At Issue is also a podcast. You get extra content and, of course, the main panel in podcast form every week. This week's bonus topic, elections in Canada are changing, and it's not just the influence of big data. Look for it on iTunes, any major podcast app, and our website, cbcnews.ca/The National.
We are looking ahead to this weekend's Juno Awards in Vancouver, which will include a much-anticipated reunion between Stephen Page and the Barenaked Ladies. Tonight, they are talking to David Common about playing together live again and how they've all changed since the big breakup.
Every day there's somebody who says, just suck it up and get back together, as if someone was ever going to say to anybody else, suck it up and go back to your ex-wife, even though you've moved on and you're remarried and you've got kids.
Ladies and gentlemen, Barenaked Ladies.
So much has happened to the Barenaked Ladies since 1993. They topped the charts, sold millions of records, and then Stephen Page left the band over a drug scandal. But this Sunday, they will reunite for the first time in almost a decade when they perform live at the Juno Awards. Now, the guys are quick to warn fans not to read too much into this. They have barely spoken since splitting up. And yes, they will perform together, but as they told our David Common, that doesn't necessarily mean they are getting the band back together.
Hello. 9 years is a long time. The Barenaked Ladies haven't been in the same room as their former frontman Stephen Page since their split in 2009. Even now, they aren't being interviewed in the same place at the same time, but they're about to perform together. You have to wonder, how's that going to go?
Full fist fight. Full fist fight. Full fist fight. Choreographed. Yeah, choreographed. It's going to be like a Batman episode.
Will that Biff? Joking is sometimes an easier way to deal with the awkward.
For me, I'm not looking at it like time to rehash everything or I'm just going for the celebration.
Even they admit they're not sure what to expect.
Seriously, until we get into the same room together at the end of the month at Juno time, I don't think we're going to know.
I got a blue and red Adidas bag and a humongous binder.
It's been 3 decades since the fresh-faced performers solidified their image as a group of buds just having fun.
Hi, we're Barenaked Ladies, and we're a little too cheap to make our own video, so here you go.
Their first video, shot for $1 in Toronto Speaker's Corner, convinced fans they didn't take much seriously.
Here we go, our life is just one big pun. So I wish every wish would come true.
But when it came to building their success, it's the hard work and sacrifice they remember.
I moved the date of my wedding because we got I don't even remember what it was now, but we got some gig that might have been important to the career of the band. So
how'd that conversation go over?
It was not easy.
Also not easy, a big blow at the peak of their career.
I also apologize to all of those I have hurt or embarrassed during this episode.
Page was arrested in New York for cocaine possession. It was the beginning of the end. 7 months later, the band abruptly splits.
I tried to weigh your brother. You can turn, you cry, and you stay or cover.
It's been 10 years, but people ask, what happened? Why do you think people are still asking that 10 years later?
Well, I think because people had their own vision of what the band was and what the relationship was between the band members. And people are nostalgic for their own impressions of what that thing was.
Tell me why we never really respected each other.
It's an intense sort of relationship, personal and creative and business-wise. So we tried to deal with it in the best way possible.
High in Canada dry. I'm out of your head and I'm losing my mind.
you think of it as like a group of brothers or a group of buddies, but it's almost more like a marriage, and it couldn't hold on anymore.
But it's a breakup fans have long been reluctant to accept.
It's like every day there's somebody who says, just suck it up and get back together, like as if like someone was ever going to say to anybody else, suck it up and go back to your ex-wife, even though you've moved on and you're remarried and you've got kids or whatever else it is.
And both sides have moved on. Stephen Page with a solo career, sometimes pairing with other musicians.
I feel like a lightning strike every time I rock the mic. You can join me if you like, or I'll go on my own.
The Barenaked Ladies currently on tour performing songs from their new album, and some classics too, including this early fan favorite.
If I had $1 million, we build a tree fort in the yard.
That's a song we played right from the beginning. Maybe even that song was the beginning of the band.
If I had $1 million.
It's a song they still perform every night. But for Page, it's one of the few he's dropped from his set.
For me, it's special. It's a duet between me and Ed. And I always thought it would feel weird and would sound weird to the audience too if I was singing it either on my own or with somebody else.
To celebrate their induction into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame, they'll sing 2 songs. Neither side have said which ones, but they aren't worried about that part.
There is a certain chemistry within the band musically that was always there, and I believe will always be there. Playing music together on a stage, easy.
Is it a one-off?
Right now.
I suspect so.
Yeah.
That sounded diplomatic, but...
One day at a time.
I don't think they have any desire to have me back in the band, and I know I don't have any desire to be back in the band. But if there are opportunities to collaborate and we like this and we enjoy it, like there's no rules saying we can't. It's all just a matter of whether we want to do it or not.
Get over the first hurdle.
Yeah, let's try it.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
So they'll start with one night of fun, one night to remember their past together. Where it goes from there is unknown.
Last night we told you about 13-year-old Autumn Peltier and her push for safe drinking water. And today, on World Water Day, she delivered her message to the United Nations General Assembly. Here she is for the record.
I'm lending my voice to speak up for water and Mother Earth. I'm not just using my voice. I'm doing this work as we can't just pray anymore. We must do something, and we need to do it now. I can't stress enough what I have learned about the water from my elders in our ceremonies. Water is around us and sustains us all. Everything is connected to this issue of clean water, and this impacts our health and well-being. One day, I will be an ancestor, and I want my great-grandchildren to know I tried hard to fight so they can have clean drinking water. No one should have to worry if the water is clean or if they will run out of water. No child should grow up not knowing what clean water is, or never knowing what running water is.
We got to the UN today. I don't know, it was really cool. And I definitely felt heard because it was a room full of world leaders. What I hope that happens in the future is that they just follow through with their promise and just protect the water.
Tonight on The National, the entire European Union has joined Britain in blaming Russia for the poisoning of a former spy and his daughter on English soil. The EU Council President says all 28 leaders now agree that it's highly likely Russia was behind the attack. The EU is now recalling its ambassador to Moscow for consultations. The Radio-Canada reporter accused of criminally harassing a woman he was investigating will not face charges. In fact, police say they made a mistake in arresting him.
A great deal of self-examination has resulted from this case, and we are drawing lessons from it.
Antoine Trépanier was working on an investigative story last week about the head of a Gatineau charity. She agreed to an interview, but then backed out. And after Trépanier says he emailed her to reschedule, she complained to police and he was arrested. Police say they're working to avoid similar situations in the future.
So early spring, as all know, can be treacherous in Newfoundland. Drifting sea ice poses a serious danger to people, even wildlife, as one community learned while trying to free some trapped dolphins before it was too late. But as Zach Gowdy reports, one great idea can make all the difference.
Not every story has a happy ending, and this one had people in Heart's Delight, Islington teetering between hope and despair. 7 dolphins trapped by ice and facing certain death, with human intervention their last resort. Sea ice had trapped the dolphins in a small area of open water near the shore, an area that was shrinking fast. Something had to be done. But what? Using a boat to clear a path for the dolphins had been deemed too risky. But today, there was a new idea.
A friend of mine, actually the operator's on the outside excavator there, Randy Suley, his wife, I think, said, why don't you try to get the excavators down and move some equipment? So Randy gave me a call, and we popped one machine here, and then we seen the benefit of having a second machine, so we brought in the second piece of equipment to help move the ice.
For hours, the excavators made little headway, but suddenly it started working. A channel opened up, large enough for a boat to get through. A large DFO speedboat used its powerful twin motors to break up more ice, and 2 gentlemen in a smaller boat used hand tools to push away the pieces. With everyone working together, it finally happened.
Oh, there's some out!
A fin popped up on the other side of the ice, then another, then another. Finally, the entire group of dolphins made a charge together through the opening in the ice that people had made for them.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Yeah, even the dog cried.
And then they were free.
Soon the ice broke out, that was it. They were free, everyone was jumping for joy, and God, I'm so happy that they're free and they're safe. That couldn't have turned out any better. And the whole get-together here in the harbor was humanity at its best.
The dolphins would likely agree. Zach Gowdy, CBC News, Heart's Delight, Islington.
And the other best part of that story, it happened in Heart's Delight.
And all throughout the day, Zach was saying that people actually started waving at the dolphins, if you could believe it. It was a good moment. That is a national.
Always nice to end on a happy note. Yeah,
we could talk about this forever. You know that. That is a national for March 22nd. Good night.
Night.